Hi everyone, it's Jessica Dibzinski. Thank you for joining here with me today. So it is time for the April mystery envelope, and this month the mystery envelope was sent out by my friend Melanie. Now I have to say I really love what she came up with for us to do this month. She sent us a couple of stamped images and then a bunch of little pieces of that UV coated colored cardstock. In her rules, she said she was inspired by the saying, April showers bring May flowers. And so all she wants us to do is something that has to do with a rainbow. I decided to take this literally and scrapbook this picture of a double rainbow that appeared in the sky last fall outside of our house. And also I thought it was the perfect opportunity to use one of my favorite thin cut sets, the Build a Rainbow. I don't get to use it often enough, but I really love that particular thin cut set. It's so adorable. So I went through all of my scraps and my stash and stuff, and I was just pulling in things that were a rainbow of colors. I also pulled out the 6x6 piece from It's the Little Things, I think is what it was called. It was a special a while ago. And I'm going to build my layout here on a piece of Bluebird cardstock because I think that's such a fun, bright color, and it's a nice dark color to work as a frame for this layout. So I'm going to go ahead and gut this out because a lot of it I'm going to hide with that piece of white cardstock in the middle. And, you know, if it's not going to be seen and if it's going to be adding bulk, then it just really doesn't need to be in there. So I did gut that out. And then I have my white piece trimmed down. I think it's maybe, well, I'm going to trim it down to 11.5 by 11.5. So rather than just cutting my white cardstock, I decided to do a little bit of edge distressing with it while I was cutting it. My blade and my paper trimmer definitely needs to be changed. And unfortunately, those particular trimmers and blades are kind of hard to find right now. And I do have a couple of replacements, but I am like hoarding them until it is really necessary to use them because I have a limited supply. And so I knew that when I would go to cut my white daisy, it was just going to shred it anyway because I'm not putting the new blade in yet. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to accept that. And that was kind of my inspiration for cutting my paper like this. This is something I like to do to create that distressed edge. You just use a stylus tool and then the track in a trimmer or on like a scoreboard, and you push down and it will cut the paper. Usually it takes about 2 passes, but it will cut the paper and leave that really nice distressed edge. So it's kind of like using an edge distressing tool, only it's cleaner. It doesn't make as much of a dusty mess, and also it comes out much straighter. So if I were doing this on something other than a piece of white cardstock, I would put the side that I wanted to be the correct side facing up. I would turn that facing down, but you know, it was white and so it didn't really matter, but I like the way that this looks. So I decided, like I said, I was inspired by my dull paper trimmer blade to do that. And then while I was looking at it, I thought, you know, it'd be fun to add a little bit of machine stitching around the edge of that as well. So I did go through with my sewing machine and just stitch one single layer all the way around the edge of that white cardstock. Now, from those pieces of scrap paper that I had, I went through and did a little bit of die cutting. This is from the Animation Window thin cut set. It's old. I believe actually it is still available and deeply discounted. Honestly, I never use it for the animation stuff that, you know, was a special long ago from close to my heart. But I love that scalloped thin cut, and I just usually kind of cover over the center part, and then it makes a really nice little frame. So I'm going to start just layering things. Now, I thought it would be fun because this is a rainbow theme layout to layer all of a bunch of different colored pattern papers to go along with my rainbow picture here. So I am grabbing scraps. I don't even know what size these are. For the most part, I don't even cut anything down. If it's the size that works, then I use it. So you can see I just have that one honey butter piece that was little. I'm going to use it. I'm going to tuck it in a way that works so I don't have to cut a bigger piece, even though I have a little bit more of that paper available. And I'm just going to start layering and tucking things. I love the look of paper layering, and I think it is really fun, especially when you have a layout like this that just has a single 4x4 photo. It's a really nice way to kind of build up the presence of your photo on the page and also bring in a lot of like visual interest. Now, if you've ever wanted to try doing some paper layering and you've struggled a little bit, in my experience, I'm not an expert by any means, but in my experience, what seems to work the best is just literally tucking little scraps and not overthinking it too terribly much. I have a square photo, so I'm trying to keep my paper scraps kind of in that same shape with the exception of that longer piece I just tucked under the bottom for it all to sit on. But I'm trying to keep it so that it's all just a little bit bigger than the photo itself and kind of coming out, having different heights and whatnot, peeking and showing different amounts of paper. And that seems to work really well. And like I said, I really like the way that it kind of expands the photo's presence on a page. And it looks really cool, especially when you have a lot of different fun patterns to play with. So I did bring in that piece of capri colored pattern paper because I felt like it needed a shelf to sit on. So I'm going to leave that longer piece down there, and that was just a scrap too. This is one piece that I did actually cut because I wanted to bring in that white and bluebird pattern paper, but I had only a triangle of it left, and I didn't like how I could see the points of my triangle. So I did cut a square of it so that I could tuck it in that bottom corner. And then now I am ready to put this down onto the page. I've got my Build a Rainbow on a piece of linen colored cardstock just to make it stand out from the white background a little bit more. And now I want to just do a little something extra to that white space before I glue this entire paper cluster down. Originally, I was thinking about using that gilt colored gloss spray and putting some splatters down because, rainbows and there's like gold at the end of the rainbow. But then I saw my capri colored shimmer trim and I thought that would be really pretty tucked here underneath of it all. But I don't think that it would be very pretty with that gilt colored gloss spray. So I'm going to go with my capri shimmer brush instead and splatter that. As far as the title, I'm keeping it pretty simple. I knew right away that there was a sentiment on this stamp set called Chasing Sunshine, and that was going to be my title. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say about this particular photo. It was really cool. It was in the fall. In the evening, it rained. And then after the rain passed, there was this beautiful double rainbow that we could see off in the east, looking down our front yard and our driveway. And the picture really does it no justice whatsoever. It was just a beautiful rainbow. So it's just kind of a random photo. And so I don't need a big title or a whole lot of journaling. Now I still want something else kind of peeking out from behind my paper layers, and I decided against stenciling, and instead I think I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. So before I glue this down, I'm making a couple of marks for myself so I know where all of the things need to go. I'm going to get that shimmer trim down first. That way I don't have to try to mess with trying to tuck it underneath because I want just a little bit of it showing. So I'm using my T-square ruler here to help me put it on straight, and I've marked about how long I want it to be. So I'll just, stick that down using the ruler. And then as you can see, I'm going to layer this over the top and have a little bit peeking out at the bottom. And then I'm going to add a couple more pencil marks to help me out here as far as where some of these little paper pieces are making some corners. And that's going to be my guide for the stamping. This stamp is from an old special, the Dream Maker special that happened a couple of years ago or maybe last year. And I love this stamp. It just has this like really old text on it, and it's kind of, not very crisply printed. So it has that like old school kind of look to it. And I thought it would be nice to bring in some of that black just because I have so much color going on this layout. So I'm going to stamp this twice, once to the right and once to the left. And I absolutely love the way that this turns out. I think that it just looks so beautiful having that text on there And then, like I said, the black, I think, was what all of that color needed. I was so excited, I actually clapped. I made a noise. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this when I was all done stamping it. So, and then I will do that Capri shimmer brush and put a couple of splatters there. I was trying to keep it light and airy, almost like raindrops, I guess you could say. And I'm putting it in the same two places as where my stamping is. And then I can go ahead and glue all of those paper layers down. All right, I'm going to put my rainbow down here so that it kind of covers part of that corner. I like how there are a lot of like sharp corners, and then I have the rainbow on this circle. I think that helps to kind of break some of those squares and rectangles up. And then I did cut out the clouds so that I had 4 pieces of cardstock for each cloud, and I glued them all together just so that they had a little bit more dimension. And then I will get those at the bottom of the rainbow, and I will use my clear shimmer brush to add a little bit of sparkle to the clouds themselves. So here's why I will do that. I'm just going to carefully go over it to make sure I don't get any of that shimmer brush on my photo. And you can't really see it in the video, but it does look really cool. I love doing that to the clouds whenever I do use this thin cut set. Okay, so that is coming together, and now I need, like I said, my title. Chasing Sunshine, I thought that worked considering it was the rainbow after the rain. And again, I don't have a whole lot of journaling I'm going to put on here, but just a little something. It still needs a title. I decided that rather than stamping it directly onto my layout, I'm going to put it onto a piece of white cardstock and cut it into a strip, and then I'm going to dovetail the ends. So I like to do my dovetailing, but just by putting a little slit up the center, and then I come in from corner to the middle of where that slit is. And then now comes the fussy part, where exactly to put it. I think I had a couple of good options, but nothing that was really jumping out at me until right about here when I slide it over. I think right about here, move it over. Like I said, I was fussing with this. I'm going to put it right above where those journaling lines are. And as soon as I moved it to that spot, I thought, yep, that's what it needs. And that also I thought helped to bring a third point of the black color, because I had the 2 different text stamps, and then I have the journaling lines and the title. And then I had that visual triangle for the black color. The last thing I'm going to do is use some of my liquid pearls here in that same blue color. And I'm going to put a couple of those around my 3 different points. I got a little crazy squeezing it out. It came out more than I wanted, and I didn't want it to have that like really tall Hershey Kiss type point on it. So after I put a dot down, I just tapped on the back of the page to help flatten that out a little bit. And then I will set that to the side to dry, because otherwise I will stick my hand in it. But otherwise, this layout is done. Once again, mystery envelope, so much fun to do. I will leave links in the description box down below to the other ladies in the Makers with Heart who are participating in the envelope that Melanie sent out. And we are all releasing our videos today on the same day, so you can go see how they interpreted her rules. I didn't actually end up using any of the pieces she sent me, so I think I might take them and turn them into a card, because why not? They're awesome pieces. So thank you for being here with me and watching. Happy crafting. See you next time. Bye.